Okay, today we're going to be talking about the chord track a little bit more. There's some workflow things that we're just getting used to in Logic Pro 12, and I ran into one of what I consider to be the biggest bumps so far. This was a song that I started on just working on. I played the key part just by itself, and I was thinking, this could be something. So let me analyze the chords and let me add bass part, drum part, and then I added a MIDI organ part. And I want you to listen through this whole section for just a minute and listen closely to the timing of the drums. Now, the keys part is currently quantized. Perfect. And I think that we're on to something here that we need to do to change our workflow to make sure this is all working. But listen first. There's like a weird delay on some of the bars where the keys play and the drums come in. I tried to fix everything. I set the key part to be the groove track source and had the other ones follow. They're not turned on right this second. But no matter what, I kept on running into all these issues with the drums and the bass being a little bit different than the original key part that I played. Everything looked okay, but when I looked a little closer, I started to realize that I had done something in the wrong order. So let me zoom in to this one and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. There it is. You'll see I have the playhead on the downbeat and the C chord comes in after. Now, it's a rolling chord, partially because when I click on this region, you'll see that I had smart quantized the region, which you can smart quantize the region and then have the overall track be the groove track source. But that's normal to have it roll like that in the smart quantize. But the chord is measuring a little bit afterwards. Now let's turn off the smart quantize for a second, and you'll see that the actual chord that I originally played was very far to the right of the downbeat, which is why I probably smart quantized this to be like that. Now, even with it so far over, the C chord placement is a little bit mysterious, how it arbitrarily picked that time. But here's how this all connects together. When you create the drummer instrument, the default is that the timing will follow the chord rhythm. And that's something we can change if we want to. So I could say I want to turn that off from following that, and it'll get a little bit closer to the downbeat. And that's fine. But what I ended up having to do was going through and quantizing the keyboard part first. So the order that I did this wrong in is that I played the key part. It was a little bit loose with time because I was just figuring out the chords. I drug it up to get the actual chord track, and the original timings that were bad were reflected in that. And then, even though I quantized the part afterwards, the damage had already been done to the chord track. And so I needed to now do one of two things. One, replace it, or two, you can move the chords manually. So I can come through here, double click on that, and drag it over to the downbeat. And then that should ripple through all of the other pieces there. Now we don't have the delay. Here's what this looked like when I redid it, when I was sorting this out. I had the MIDI key part already quantized, and then I went through and did that transition again when I did the analysis of the chords. Every single one of these is now on the downbeat and not messed up. That's the key to this. If you're going to play a keyboard part and it's not perfect, which is often the case when you're either writing or just kind of fumbling through new chords and trying to figure it out. You just need to prepare it a little bit so that when you drag it up for the analysis, that it will do it on the downbeats. And if you're noticing that drums are sometimes putting kicks or the downbeats in the wrong place, it may be because when we're doing the following, uh, choosing what to follow, then it may be just triggering off the wrong thing. And if you're looking at the chord track zoomed out, they all could just be a little bit off. Now, is the chord track doing a good job of putting those in the right place? I don't think so. I think this is a huge problem right now. As you could see a few minutes ago when I was zoomed in on that chord, like this one right here, if I turn off the quantization again, yes, it's a little bit closer. It's kind of like just pick the first note. But when I did the other one that was the C chord, it wasn't anywhere remotely close to where those notes were. And so I don't think I understand fully, but at least now we know, prepare your MIDI before dragging it up into the analysis, and then we're ready to go for the actual analysis. But make sure it's close before you do that. Hope this helps.